Happy Halloween, everybody! Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the NECA Halloween 2 Michael Myers Ultimate figure. Now before anyone gets concerned, no, this does not mean I'm done with Godzilla content. It's Halloween. I figured I would do something a little different, so I'm taking a look at a Michael Myers action figure that I just recently bought. And not only that, but NECA just put it out, I believe, in September, and I got my hands on this figure a couple weeks ago, and needless to say, I've been itching to talk about it. So yeah, let's dive in and take a look at the figure as well as the box art. Alright, as you can see, the box art perfectly represents the film poster of the same name. It has the Halloween pumpkin on it with the skull literally coming out of it. Down here it says Ultimate Michael Myers, as I've already told you. Up here it has the same font as the movie, and if I'm holding it sideways, I apologize. The camera kind of gives me a limited room to work with here. On the side, it has exactly the same thing. NECA Real Toys. This side is identical. And then on the back is where we get the good stuff. So we get each little individual shot of what the figure has to offer, like different heads, the jack-o'-lantern, all of this. And the jack-o'-lantern turns into the skull like the opening credits scene. And then up here, I don't know if you can really see it, I'll turn it sideways for you. And no, I didn't get that for $35. I actually had a coupon of sorts. Or I could say I had a membership at FYE and it reduced the price by like 10%. So I ended up paying the actual retail price without the tax. So I think it was like, it wasn't actually 34 or 35, it was like 28. But regardless, here's a recreated shot from the end of the film where Michael gets his eyes shot out by Dr. Samuel Loomis and ends up using the scalpel here and starts swinging away, trying to get at Laurie Strode. It's actually, that finale is one of the best in the Halloween series, if you ask me, as far as like final chases go. Oh, and you know what, just like the last review, I almost forgot to do this. Figured I'd open the box and look, unlike the Godzilla figure I showed you last time, I actually have plenty of accessories to show you later on. And we also get a pretty good, oh my god, that glare, but I'm sure you can see it like this. We actually have a pretty good, like, shot of Michael here, just standing there menacingly with the scalpel, you know, like, just like Patrick says, menacingly! He's just standing there with that scalpel out. That's a really iconic image, if you ask me. In fact, it's so iconic that every time I have this figure displayed, I always have him with the scalpel. Speaking of the figure, let's take a look at the paint job and overall detail. One thing I gotta notice is that the mask isn't the most detailed as far as like how, especially like as far as accuracy goes. Because I know in the movie the mask looks a lot different, but they definitely did hit a lot of the right notes here. So despite it not being the most accurate, I can let it slide. The one thing I kind of find a little annoying is that, I don't know if this is just my figure, I'm sure, I want to say it's with every figure, but Michael's always looking to his right, and that's because of the way the eyes are painted. I don't know if that's intentional or not. I'm not sure if that's the way he is in the movie. It's been a while since I've seen Halloween 2, if I'm being honest. The most recent Halloween movie I watched was the original and the 2018 soft reboot. And needless to say, I feel like those and maybe Halloween 2 here are the only ones you really need to watch. But aside from that, I do like the fact that they actually gave his coveralls the right color. I believe in the original movie they are like a dark olive green color, similar to how Roy Burns from Friday the 13th Part 5, how his coveralls are colored. And the work boots over here, you got some nice fancy work boots, Michael. Gotta give you credit, man. Those are some nice kicks, boy. And the scalpel looks pretty good. It's also got a lot of detail in the hands. Although one thing I've noticed, and I'm sure I'll mention it here in a bit later in the review, is that this Michael, as far as like sculpting goes, there's a lot of similarities he shares with the 2018 figure NECA put out. But yeah, I gotta say, the paint's nice. Especially one thing I didn't get to really point out, and I should have pointed out, which I will now since I've noticed it, is that there's a lot of bullet punctures here, and all of them are evident of Dr. Loomis shooting Michael 6 times! He shot him 6 times! In case you forgot. But yeah, I really do like the way this figure looks, as far as like the paint goes, and I mean, there are some little nitpicks I have about, and that right there is one of my nitpicks. This son of a bitch never wants to stand up, which is why I always have him displayed in front of figures that'll hold him up. Needless to say, maybe just this table I'm trying to put him on right now, but it is so annoying. Which is why I gotta put him in this awkward pose where he's leaning forward like he's holding in a really big shit. Like he's really trying hard to clench his butt cheeks together. But now that I got that big problem with mine out of the way, let's take a minor look at articulation, because I don't want him to keep falling over. He's just like Roy Burns, to which he's got double jointed elbows. You see that? 2 joints here, so you actually have a lot of free movement as far as I go. So that's like the 1 joint, and you get 2, and it just bends in even more. It's really convenient, especially if you want to like pose these figures on your shelf, or if you do like stop motions for that matter. Same with this arm. The wrists, of course, move, and I believe these are they got pretty free movement. I'm not sure how to describe it. Maybe there you can see. I believe they're just really free moving. I don't know how to describe it. I wouldn't necessarily call them double jointed. Maybe they are, and I'm just an idiot. But let me know in the comments, because I'm not really sure what to call those. I'm sure there's someone out there more knowledgeable about that than I am. The head, of course, you get a lot of free movement out of the head as well, and that makes sense because it's interchangeable. Then the legs, of course, they bend at the knees, and the feet swivel around as well. So yeah, needless to say, you're going to get a lot of movement out of this Michael Myers action figure. Especially movement like that. Thank you! Thank you so much, Michael! You incompetent shit. Now, real briefly, I'm going to show you the accessories he comes with. As far as like the hands and stuff go, I'm not going to really try and take those off. And for those of you disappointed, I do apologize. But I will show you in detail in front of the camera exactly what they all look like. Here's one of his hands. It's like more open. I believe this goes to his right hand. And I would be correct just by looking from here. Very veiny. Looks very similar to the open hand he has now, but of course this one's more open. I can't believe I had to describe a hand like that. But anyway, here's a closed hand. More so a hand where he can hold another object. And this also goes to the right hand, so if you wanted Michael dual wielding something, you could do it. And last but certainly not least, we have the hand that he initially came with when I first got him. It was in his right hand. No, technically his right hand. I said right for this one, but that's because it's on my right. That's his left hand. So these two before were his left. Here's another hand for his right. And this is the one that was originally on before. The only problem was I couldn't get the scalpel to fit in, so I just swapped the hands, and that one seemed to work better. Now, real quick, we'll take a look at the other weapons he comes with. Here's the syringe he uses on a nurse in a hospital, I believe. And man, every time I saw this needle go in the side of her head, it just made me go, ooh. You know, I could never see myself in that situation, let alone would I want to. Here's the kitchen knife that you typically see Michael Myers use in most of his films. And yeah, that's a knife. Here's the hammer he uses to kill a guy in, I believe, the basement of the hospital. And it really feels like a kill out of Friday the 13th Part 2. And which is kind of ironic because both movies came out the same year, 1981. So, and speaking of that, the original idea for Friday the 13th Part 2 was for it to take place in a hospital. You know, a movie took place in a hospital? Halloween 2. Ooh, so it looks like somebody's leaking out information out of their studios. And I'm just going to do this because this is a weapon that it came with. It's not the original one, but here's the scalpel. Maybe kind of blurry for you to see right now, but that is definitely a scalpel. And yeah, I just like to pose this Michael with it because whenever I think of Halloween 2, I always think of that final chase scene where Michael has the scalpel in his hand that I guess doesn't want to stay, so to hell with me, right? Come on, Michael. Come on, Michael. You can do it. I guess not. Alright, you do you, Michael. Next, I'm going to show you all the detachable heads that he comes with. Of course, you have the basic head that he comes with. And here he is with the blonde-haired mask that Ben Tramer, the love interest of Laurie Strode in the first film, wears in the second film as he is brutally murdered by the police. By the way, hashtag justice for Tramer. He did nothing wrong. And last but certainly not least, here's the mask he wears at the end of the film when he gets his eyes shot out by Dr. Loomis. Now, it's basically the same as the original mask, but I gotta say, the blood dripping out of the eye sockets is really cool. I dig that visual. It's always something I think of when I think of Halloween 2. That, the scalpel, the final chase scene, you know, it's just everything in that last act is so memorable. And just so you can get an idea as far as scaling goes, here he is next to the 2018 NECA Michael Myers Ultimate figure. These two figures actually share a lot in common, which I'm sure isn't surprising since they both are Michael Myers. But both of their right hands are very similar. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if NECA reused the sculpt from the 2018 figure for the Halloween 2 figure. Their left hand's there, or technically their right. You know, I keep getting it mixed up because I'm looking at the camera and looking at the figures. So I guess their right hand is obviously a little different, but their left hands are definitely the same. I can't really look at it and think otherwise. The only difference I would see is, of course, the paint job. And since I mentioned Friday the 13th Part 2 earlier, here's Michael Myers next to the NECA Ultimate Jason Voorhees Friday the 13th Part 2 action figure. And there's one thing I can notice, is that Michael is a lot beefier than this Jason, which I guess is only fitting, seeing as how this Jason was not really superhuman, like say Part 6 Jason, or hell, even Part 4. Because at this point in time in the franchise, Jason was still kind of a humanoid, I guess, more human than anything. So in some scenes he would be considered a wimp, because he would be getting knocked on his rear end by the heroine, whereas Michael really felt like a force to be reckoned with in Part 1 and 2. But either way, I feel as though these two look good next to each other. And since there's a lot of Godzilla fans watching this video, I figured I'd bring out the NECA 2019 Godzilla figure, which, by the way, I just reviewed not too long ago. And if you want to check out that review, it should be up here in this right-hand corner. When the card comes up, click on it, and it'll send you right to the review. But yeah, I figured I'd pull out a Godzilla figure just so the Godzilla fans at home can get an idea as far as how tall this Michael is when compared to a Godzilla figure made by the same company. And obviously, Michael's going to tower over Godzilla, and realistically, Michael would probably not even really come up to Godzilla's toe. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but yeah, this is what the figures look like next to each other. And that's about it for this figure. If I had to give it a rating, I would give it a 4 out of 5. Despite my nitpicks, I do feel it is a very good representation of Michael Myers from the film Halloween 2. I would definitely say pick it up if you ever get the chance to, especially if you're a horror fan or just a fan of the Halloween franchise in general. It would look great on your shelf with, say, other figures, or hell, even your movie collection, or any other memorabilia you have for that matter. I hope you enjoyed the figure review. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like and comment down below. Subscribe as well, and turn on that bell notification so you don't miss out on any videos just like this one. And until next time, take care everyone. I'll talk to y'all later.